So welcome everyone. We're here tonight on a Zoom chat with Michelle Manilla, who has been a healer of people for 30 years in areas of athletic training and physical therapy for people. And her specialty is manual techniques. She was also a volunteer at a no-kill shelter in addition to the years of being a pet owner. And all of that made her realize that every animal should be looked upon as a gift to be nurtured. And this has led Michelle to her current passion, which is creating harmony between pets and people using her intuitive skills. So in 2018, Michelle began formal training with the Animal Communication and Energy Healing. Did I say that wrong? Animal Communication and Energy Healing with Communication with Life University under Joan Braquette. And she was a graduate of the program. She started Animal Chat for Harmony, providing animal communication and energy healing services in order to help people and their pets. And I think her adopted dog, Bandit, really kind of led her to this level of intuitive animal communication because he was a challenge. I remember when she would see him in the shelter and she was thinking of getting him and we were communicating back and forth and she's trying to decide. And I don't know, you can tell me, Michelle, I think he's kind of led you onto this path a little bit quicker than maybe you would have.
Yes.
So
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
I met Bandit in the shelter and I'll just say that he was a big handful for all the employees that were there. And we kind of started dating. I would go to the shelter and I would take him for an ice cream cone and take him for a drive and then take him back to the shelter. And I was the only one that could really get him to kind of settle and he would listen to me. And so that led to taking him for weekends. And he would actually misbehave on a Sunday because he knew he was going to go back. And so, as Liz said, I had talked to her and she said, you really need to keep him longer than a weekend to see if this is going to work. So she says, you need to keep him about 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks turned into 4 weeks and 4 weeks turned into 2 months. And after about another week, I signed the papers to formally adopt him. And so that was 2018 Labor Day. And then in 2018, September, October, I went to Virginia Beach for a 3-day training with Joan Ranquette in Virginia Beach at Edgar Cayce, if anybody's familiar with Edgar Cayce, at his Association for Enlightenment program. And so about 6 months later, I decided to jump in headfirst and join her big program, which is called Communication with Life University. And that started in April 2019. And unfortunately, as we all know, the pandemic hit and that really kind of put some of the schooling on hold and everything on Zoom. And last fall, I was fortunate enough to take a cross-country trip and go to a 9-day intensive at her farm in Santa Clarita, California. And, that 9-day program just really solidified everything that led up to that point in her teachings and in my learning. And I came away from that just amazed at what I could actually receive from animals, communication wise, healing wise, what they need. It was just an amazing experience. And so fast forward to April, I finished my last 6 days. And then last Thursday was the final Zoom graduation call. So right after that, I, really want to kick off my business a little bit and just reach out to people that need help, animals that need help. My passion really is the shelters, is that I just wish that there wouldn't be a need for shelters. That's my dream, that there would not be a need for shelters and that, the bad breeders would stop and animals were treated like beautiful creations that they are. If that would happen from the training that I did, it would make everything worthwhile.
Mm. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the services that you do offer? Because there are a few different things within the communication or energy modalities that each, from what I think I understand, that each kind of fit into a different type of communication with the animals, or it's a different type of healing, maybe.
Yeah. So let me let my little girl Bonnie in 1 second. Oh, you little bugger. Oh, she guess she doesn't want to come in right now. She has to run away. So animal communication, the communication is really the first step, in that sometimes the animal just wants to tell someone their story. And once somebody actually just kind of connects with them and listens to them, and they can kind of vent as if you and I were venting about a past situation or a struggle, that's all they want to do, is get that story out, that someone listens to them. And sometimes that's all that it takes to improve their behavior or their relationship with their human. So communication is the first step. The second thing is that's a beautiful kitty. That's like my Clyde. So the second thing that I like to do is called EFT. And that is a tapping technique. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, which again allows the animal to release bound down and held emotions that it's had from past experience, or just experience that they've had in the past that's bad. So that it's kind of like the peeling off of the layers of an onion. And then till you get to the root of the core emotion, once that kind of gets resolved, again, it's like us venting about a bad problem. And once we can get that out and released, then the animal will feel better. So that's the emotional freedom technique, tapping. And the last thing that I do is scalar wave. Scalar wave really focuses on energy healing. And if anybody's familiar with the chakras of the body, that's what this deals with, is the Chinese chakras of the body, 1 through 7. And we kind of dive into those energy fields. We clear the energy fields, and then we deal with each individual chakra on its own. And then we kind of center the energy into that sore or that problem area and kind of cleanse it, send healing energy to it, send it love, so the animal can be more receptive to whether it's medication it's receiving from a vet, whether it's an emotional, something that's still stuck in there, or that it just has a sore paw, something like that. And that technique really helps both the owner, the person, it helps the animal, and it actually helps all the other animals that are within, let's say, the room where this takes place. All the other animals can benefit that as well. That just kind of a calming, peaceful energy that gets into them, and everything gets more kind of settled and bonded.
So like for the EMF, for the tapping, is that like actually you're talking like tapping, like the same tapping technique that people use? I don't know the thing, but I know there is like a tapping protocol, yes. I guess, right?
Yeah, so the points are almost the same. For the animal, it's almost the same. It's inside the eyebrow, outside the eyebrow temple. We go under their eye, and then instead of under their nose, we go on top of their nose, under their chin, and then at their collarbone.
Okay. So we were talking about the different techniques that you do offer, Michelle. And so if you were going to work with a client, let's say, or maybe you can give us some examples, but when you work with the client, do you work off a picture? Do you talk to them? Do you do video? Do you have to be in person and see them right there? Like what is the process?
So I've done live animals in front of me, and because of living in Danville, Pennsylvania, and most I'm going to say 99% of my clients are not living in Danville, Pennsylvania. So I work off of pictures. I will connect with I'll talk with the person first and just get a little bit of information from them about their animal, just their age, their name, if there's other pets that live in the house, how old the pet is, and if they have any questions for the pet, or if there's an issue that they want me to find out about or discuss. That's all I need.
Okay.
It's pretty simple, that I will then connect with the animal typically right before I call the person back and say, okay, so this is what I found, and I just connected with the animal. So I'm kind of, still in that mode. If anything comes through while we're talking, you can ask again, or if I get anything from the animal, I will let them know that.
Okay.
Normally the process is it's about anywhere from 25 to 35, 40 minutes, depending on how our discussion goes.
Okay. And I've kind of seen your evolution. Like, I know you had some intuitive tendencies anyway for this, but then I see you now, and how much preparation do you need? Like, can anyone do this, or you went through an actual training program? Like, what? So it's, I'm assuming you're not just like getting on and doing it. There must be some preparation.
Yeah. So really the biggest thing that helped me was doing a meditation for myself every day. I do have other, prayer life and just thought processes, and I journal when we travel and write. I've written poems and different lectures and things like that. So that type of thing also helps, in that you can express yourself in other ways, but really that deeper meditation and being able to feel what your body feels like, so then that you can understand and feel what another body feels like, and then relate that to somebody else.
Okay. Because we were also talking a little bit about, like, it's hard. I think it's hard for a pet owner. I mean, I know myself, I go to people's houses and I have to do things to pets that I don't love doing, but I'm a nurse. It's my job. And if I have to give sub-Q fluids or give a needle to someone else's pet, I do it. And I don't love doing those things, but I know it's helping and I need to do it. But if I have to do it to my own pet, a big commotion in my house, it doesn't work with my own pets. And I wonder, with like intuitive things, if there's like a blockage with your own pet where you might not even be able to hear their message or hear what they're saying. And is that something you come across?
Yes. So I've tried to connect with Bandit numerous times. And I think that when you try too hard, that you just hit a block. But if I'm kind of just sitting peacefully and sitting quiet with him, or I'm just meditating on my own, then I'll hear from him. But when you're sitting there thinking, oh, talk to me, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because there's too much heavy emotion that's pushing it to happen.
Yeah, I can see that. How much of the issues that you see with animals and like maybe behavior issues or any issue that you see, how much of it is like maybe the owner or the owner's emotions or the owner's thoughts that are transferred to the pet?
A lot.
Really?
I will tell you that this woman and her husband was one of my first clients I ever had. And I met her at a dog agility trial, and she wanted me to connect with the newest dog that she brought into the house. And she must have had, I think she had 2, maybe 3 other, I think they were collies. So the new dog that came in would just, at one point the dog was fine. At another point, the dog would just start freaking out. But she would always tell me that she would go to the park, the dog was totally fine. She would go over to the neighbors, dog was fine. She would go over to relatives, her sister's house or her mother's house. Dog was perfect. But as soon as the dog came back into her house, now it was only that one dog. She wouldn't take the other dogs with her. As soon as that dog would come back into this house and she would feed them or feed this one by herself, and that woman was there, the dog would act up. And I said to her, you know, how are you feeling about this situation? Well, she couldn't tell me enough how annoyed she was, which we can all understand. But that emotion was also playing into how that dog was feeling in that house. And I just couldn't get through to her enough that maybe we should do a technique on her to help the dog. And
No.
she just didn't want to do that because in her mind, it was all, there's something wrong with the dog. I'm not too sure.
Right. Almost like people and siblings and things like that. Like, you know, just that family dynamic. Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting. Do you ever are you ever walking and like you pass a dog or a cat or any animal, a bird in a tree? Do you ever hear them in your voice, just like walking by them? Or is it something that you really have to sit and like tune into?
Every once in a while I will, but typically, you know, I'm also, if I'm walking outside, I have Bandit and I'm more focused on him than another animal.
Yeah. I know we have a few people on now whose pets have really bad allergies. You know, that's usually a big thing. Stomach, GI issues. I find like, you know, there is sometimes an emotional component. There's a physical, biological reaction to the environment, but also like the skin's a barrier. And sometimes I wonder about the emotional barriers that sometimes these pets might have.
Well, so when you're talking about the chakra system, the stomach area is also, you know, there's also emotions held there. Some things like confidence or self-esteem. There's some issues in that aspect that could also be causing some irritation in the stomach. And I think if you try to clear that out from the stomach area in that chakra, which would be chakra number 3, that can help some of those digestive issues. Just like us, you know, maybe before a test or before we're going to go, like a dog doing agility might vomit or might have diarrhea. Well, they also probably very nervous that they want to please their owner. They want to do a good job. This is their job and they want to do it right. So they get nervous. And so when you build that confidence, that stomach area can also calm down and for them feel a lot better. So it's not, I don't feel like it's always about the food you're feeding them. It can also, you know, just like you said, relate to some emotional issues that, you know, the dog is living in.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you have any examples that you want to share of maybe some interesting cases that maybe you went into thinking one thing, but you were surprised by the response?
Well, there was a cat. So a friend's cat, his name was Max, and he was an orange cat, and he was a pretty big boy. And the owners had another cat, Chloe. I think the cat's name was Chloe. And Max would always attack Chloe, and he would sit on the one owner's lap all the time. And the owner would actually sit back from the cat once the cat would jump on his lap, because sooner or later the cat would turn around and swat him really hard. The woman would walk by, Max could be sitting on the couch, and the owner, the female, would walk by and would whack her or go up and just bite on Chloe for no reason or attack her. And they were literally afraid of Max. And so, you know, they gave me a picture of Max. They just said, you know, what's going on with this behavior? This has got to stop. You know, we're actually fearful, and no one comes into our house because Max attacks them. And I said, okay, well, let me talk to Max. So the first time I connected with him, the first thing this cat said to me was, "What do you want?" And I was like, okay, it was nice to meet you. I'll talk to you later. So that was that day. Oh, about 2 days later, I went back and I said, hi, Max. And he gave me a little bit of disgruntlement again, not as bad though. And I just said, I know your mom and dad, and I just want to talk to you a little bit. And so he actually calmed down and I got through to him. And what I found was that he missed hunting. Because he was an older cat. And what I found out once I told the owners this, he wants to hunt. He really enjoyed that when he was a younger cat. And so when I told the owners that, they said, yes, he would actually skin a snake. He brought them a chipmunk, little mice all the time. Well, because he was getting older, they stopped letting him go out. So I said, well, he wants to hunt. He likes that. I said, so maybe you can play with him with some toy mice as if he's hunting, but he's in the house, so he's safe. So they did that. And a couple of days later, the male owner, his name was Kevin, actually said he has played like he was a kitten. And so to me, that was a very positive step. And then he stopped attacking the female cat as much. He never attacked the male or Kevin or his wife Sue again. And so they were much, much happier. The cat never peed in the house again. So it was a very positive outcome in all regards.
Oh, nice. I always find it helpful. Yeah, I have a lot of, a lot of my clients do use, or they've had contact with an intuitive at some point with their pet. And a lot of people will not admit that to their veterinarian or tell their friends or their family, but they believe in it and they've done it to get some information. And I've had people, where an intuitive will say, well, we're doing something with their pet. And they'll say, the intuitive said that the cat has a headache. And that's something that I would never, ever think of. That is not something that a vet would ever think of, saying that a pet has a headache, and we don't treat for headaches. But it makes sense because they have high blood pressure and they have certain conditions like tumors in their, or, oral tumor, whatever it is, they would get a headache. But who would think of something like that? And to have information from someone who's tapping into that can be really, really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Well, just like us, a lot of times our headaches, and when I've done medical intuition on many different animals, a lot of their tension in their head all comes from the back of their neck and the back of their shoulders, because they're like this all the time because they're freaked out and they're nervous and they're stressed because the house is stressed. Yeah. And so they soak into that energy and they naturally are like that. And you just there's some techniques that you can do to help calm them down and, and just relax them. And the one thing that would greatly help that is the scalar wave.
Okay, good. So we have about a few minutes left. We can either, we can always come back on, but just so that we don't lose your information. So you are at your website, animalchatforharmony.com. Mm-hmm. And then actually Michelle is offering 25% off to anyone who mentions Heal at Home Pet Care if you're interested in connecting with her for your pet, if you're having an issue. I always find like that little bit of information is just so helpful. Like, just like you said, that little thing with that cat, it just wants to hunt. And it probably made such a huge difference in that cat's health and in the interactions in the house.
Yeah. And it's like, when that cat was more calm and relaxed and more playful, the other cat was, oh my gosh, she was not getting attacked all the time. So she was much happier as well.
Yeah.
It's always nice.
Yeah. And also, does the pet have to be living, or can it be a pet that has passed?
I've done animals that have passed, and most of my clients have cats and dogs that are living, but I have done several animals that have passed on.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I would think that would be really helpful for the owners. I think we all second guess things that we've done with our pets before they pass, and it just lingers with us, and to just let that go. I actually just did
a cat that had passed. And it was funny because I said to the owner, the cat said to me that he's still chewing his paw and that you shouldn't worry because he's always done that. And she goes, I told him, I would tell him all the time, stop biting your paw. I said, well, he's still biting it. So, but don't worry, he's okay.
Cool. Cool. All right. Well, I think our time it's going to end in a little bit. So thank you for coming on and kind of sharing with us. We can always do another one too, if you want, we can always come back on. But Michelle is like, she works with people and animals. So I think that's a really great combination to deal with pet owners and their pets.
Yeah. Just really quick. I did a scalar wave on a cat right before, about 3 hours before the vet came to put the cat down because the tumor was growing. And then about a week later, the owner called me and said, I'm having regret, remorse, grief about putting my cat down. And so I did a scalar wave and a tapping on the owner. And she was so thankful. And she's like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I feel so much better now because I know she's okay. And I feel better. I have no more regret. I did the right thing. So
awesome. Yeah, I think we all could use a little bit of that kind of just release.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us. So if anyone wants to get in touch with Michelle, it's in the email. I think I have a link for your website.
Okay, great.
Or contact me. And if you do want to use her services, just mention Heal at Home Pet Care and she'll set you up with that discount too.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Great. Thank you everyone for coming tonight.
Yes, thank you.